Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to again focus in on how all the dominoes fall by way of relationship, and kind of following along with my last video as it relates to almost walking away from a couple situations recently where owners were heavily emotionally compromised, and just how challenging that is, especially when you consider that the dog owner is the agent of change. Understand that your role in the relationship plays an absolutely critical part when it comes to overcoming behavioral issues based on how a dog's decision making process is influenced based on dogs as social animals, as pack animals. Now, on this video, I want to talk about again how all the dominoes fall because again, whenever I encounter these type of situations, okay, where the dog owner is very emotionally compromised, you'll see it. You'll see certain patterns that all connect. It's all about how people think in terms of leadership, in terms of emotion, and why people will say and do certain things as it relates to relationship. Now, here's the thing. Years ago, in terms of really going beyond appearances, really understanding the relationship side of things and connecting dots in terms of why it is that I talk about motivating dogs the way that the dog training world how they engage the relationship problem, and start to understand why this is such a problem for so many dog owners, based again on depth of relationship, on again how we think, how we connect, how we interact with dogs at that level. Now, in terms again of dots connecting, here's the thing: is again stepping into situations, you'll see certain things, um, you know, uh, all kind of like how things line up consistently in terms of how people talk. Again, if you pay attention to owners who again are struggling in the relationship with their dog, who are overly emotionally compromised, if you pay attention, you'll see certain things over and over again. And one of these things right away is a lot of touching. Okay, you'll see again these recent situations. Okay, you'll see just the hands are moving and just petting on the dog, the whole entire time as you're talking. Again, I'll shut that down pretty quickly. I'll say, let's just, because we're moving in this direction, let's stop that. Let's put the dog down. Let's get the leash out. And again, because again you'll see right away. And this is why I say I set the tone pretty quickly when I'm going into a situation, because understand it is an intervention. I just don't sit there and talk for a period of time and just watching this. I shut that down. I say stop, because right away understand that right away as soon as you encounter a relationship problem, you need to start to advocate immediately. You need to start to cut certain things off right away to get people start to see things, because again as soon as they stop doing that, they put the dog on the leash, you'll start to see the dog have a certain reaction. Now, here's the other thing, okay, in terms of tools, okay, you'll see. This is why I send out a video to dog owners prior to a session, talking through a couple things, okay, to make sure I'm not showing up. And then with retractable leashes, don't get me wrong, it still happens, okay, even though you send people videos. Again, these encounters I just had, you'll see it. They have retractable leashes, body harnesses, sometimes dressing the dog up in clothing, okay? But I understand that it is all about how people think, even with certain, certain attitudes they have about crates, about, having a dog, confining the dog a certain way, all those different things. And again, I make sure I lay that stuff out. But again, very interesting with the things that you'll see, because understand it all relates to relationship. And just like parenting, this is why if you look at, parenting styles, if you look at the permissive parenting style, now here's the thing I want to make a point here, is that just because someone is struggling in the relationship with the dog doesn't automatically mean that they're a permissive parent. Okay, I don't kind of label that way. I'll look at the dynamic and say, okay, here's the dynamic in terms of parenting and how these things line up. So permissive parenting, if you want a dynamic that really will be representative as to the challenges when it comes to dog owners and their dogs, well, the permissive parenting style represents that. Okay, you'll see those almost perfectly. You'll see those dynamics play out. But again, getting back to the issue about dogs and owners, understand that you'll see the same patterns. You see, listen, pay attention to how they talk, a lot of emotional language. Watch how where their hands are moving. You see the constantly just petting. Even in terms of once they start to do the method, they want to pet the dog. In fact, one of the recent situations I had, that was really on the mind of the dog owner. She kept saying, "When can I pet my dog? When can I pet my dog?" Like that. She kept saying that. Which again, there's like, hold on here a second. Let's talk through this, because understand that's about, when you get to this level of being emotionally compromised, understand how the dog perceives that. It comes across as puts the person in a position of weakness. Okay, emotion, weakness. And so the petting part, and this is the deceptive part of it, that's for the owner. It makes the owner feel good, but what it becomes is reverse fulfillment. So dog starts to gain control. The dog's fulfilled wrongly, will appear normal and balanced at times as a person's petting all of the dog, even though the dog is now in a possessive state. And so the dog owner will take that as the dog loves me more, because the dog is following them around everywhere, attached to them. And this is where I'll tell people, say, listen, you'll be devastated, because if I was to work directly with your dog for even like an hour and kind of moved you to the side and just interacted the way that I'm talking about, your dog will start to reject you. It won't even come to you, and you'll be devastated, because understand that it's not about emotion that way. About fulfilling. It's like finding comfort in the right parenting style. Dog will start to attach to me through leadership, not because the dog fears me, because the dog's being fulfilled the right way. So we'll override that emotion, and the person will be left devastated, because they'll say, dog doesn't love me anymore. But understand this whole thing about appearances. This is what I'm talking about. It's so difficult for people to break free of that emotion. The emotion really hinders people and prevents them from achieving the result that they want. But understand, when you go into these situations, you'll see the same patterns over and over again. And going back years ago, again, when I was looking at these patterns, and even in terms of just the percentages of women that struggle, you'll see like that percentage, 80% of all dog owners who struggle in their relationships with their dogs are women. Yeah, I understand it's not meant to be a sexist statement. It's a fact, okay? Because I understand my focus is on individuals anyway. But again, when you see that level of percentage, you can't ignore it. Say, what's going on? Well, women are more maternal, more emotional, which is a great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but when it comes to animals and meeting their needs, it can be, if you do not, again, focus on fulfilling dogs through, again, their leadership needs. Okay, understand you have to switch gears. So, but here's a a thing about, I talk about, in terms of women, the difference between men and women. To understand, women, when you start to turn it around in terms of the method, women are much better at actually the method itself, okay, in terms of moving forward and going through the sequence than men are. Okay, there's my kind of, I want to kind of really put that out there. So I don't peg people that way. It's not meant to be a sexist comment. People will sometimes want to take it that way. Although when I sit down with people, they don't take it that way. But understand that when people are dealing with their emotions, right? Because understand, when people get to a certain level, they just simply don't want to hear it. Okay, they'll say, well, I don't want to hear, because they're governed by appearances. Okay, so again, but very interesting, these connections. Pay attention, but understand, as a individual ourselves, oftentimes we have a very difficult time assessing ourselves, to actually hold that mirror up. It usually takes somebody else to point out, say, hold on here a second. But understand something here. When I walk into a situation, I'm not pointing those things out even. I'm not even talking about those things. I'm looking at it saying, okay, this is what I know I'm going to see, and I'll see it. But it's all about helping people. Understand, it's about moving people forward. So the information that I put out isn't that way to make people feel bad and keep them stuck into a place. A lot of times I don't even talk about those things. I see those things and I connect the dots. But what I'm doing immediately is I'm focusing on helping people to move them forward, so they can be successful. So it's not about always putting out information, because I understand sometimes people put out information and you have to ask yourself the question, what's the point of the information I'm putting out if it's critical and they take it that way and it doesn't move them forward? So understand that there's things that are information based that I know, but there's things that, again, are that I'll use that are helpful to the situation to move them forward. And so even when I'm talking about the parenting example, I'm lining things up. But I'll even tell people, Don't take this as I'm thinking you're a permissive parent, okay? I'm talking about these dynamics to help you move forward so you can be successful. So again, very interesting. Understand there's depth to relationship. I'll talk on some more videos about just some of these very interesting dynamics that are in play. But again, look for the patterns because they will always be there. Thanks for watching.